This is Deep Down, and I'm your host, Jordan Hunt. I'm a composer, vocalist, multi-instrumentalist, and self-releasing artist. You might also know me as former violinist in the Irrepressibles, as the long-standing musical companion to Grammy-nominated Olivia Chaney, or as a musical and associate director of the Theo Adams Company. I delve deep as we explore the creative process and life through the lens of a musician, unravelling universal ideas and enigmas through some of my songs and lyrics, and through some of the profound moments that have shaped me. Join me deep down as we embark on this journey together, in search of answers to the elusive question, what do you really feel deep down? Time to celebrate. Spring is upon us, and yet I have no time to celebrate. With a list of achievements and reasons to celebrate accumulating, it comes with an ever-expanding schedule to match. And so I ponder in this rare moment for reflection, if deep down, which is more important, the achievement or the celebration? Welcome listeners, deep down. I'm very happy you're here, joining me once again. I'm so grateful for this little space that I've carved out and this time that I put aside to collect my thoughts in what's a pretty hectic schedule at the moment. I'm looking back on when I think my last day off was, and I honestly can't remember. It's weeks ago now, if not months, and I don't think that's because... No, it's because I'm not very good at giving myself time off. Let's just be clear about it. But I've got lots to look forward to still, and I'm enjoying everything I'm doing. So let's put it that way. I'm not complaining. It's May, and spring is finally here in London after a very wet April. Very wet and cold. It was very wintry for so long. And I feel I've got so much to celebrate in my life. I'm not always very good at doing so. And the title of this episode, Time to Celebrate, is sort of double meaning, I suppose. I'm really forcing myself to stop and take stock of everything I've achieved so far and all this time that I've been working these past couple of months to celebrate, but also realising that I have not really managed to make time to celebrate. There are some friends that I've been trying to hang out with for quite a while now that I haven't managed to find time to do so, and I feel that needs to be a priority for me moving forwards. I was actually contemplating naming this episode Mixed Emotions, but I thought maybe that's not so appealing in terms of clickbait, and perhaps my listeners prefer the blue end of the spectrum, that kind of questioning of the emotional state. Let's put it this way, it's not all fun and daisies, but my first big cause for celebrating is that I've made it to 20 episodes, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but apparently only 1% of all podcasters globally manage to make it to their 20th episode. So I'm so proud of my tenacity to stick it out to this point in the game. And I've got so many ideas for future episodes, so I shan't be going anywhere anytime soon. To be honest, I don't really, or shouldn't really have time to record this episode. The last few episodes were recorded in advance because I knew just how busy I would be in this period, and it's not letting up anytime soon as time ticks on. Part of the reason of celebrating is because many of the things I've been working on are actually finally coming to fruition. So at the time of this episode airing, I've just come back from the Eurovision Song Contest in Malmö in Sweden, which is a lifelong dream to attend. And actually, this year I got to not participate, but participate in its creation. I was part of the creative team for the UK entry, Ollie Alexander, Dizzy. I'm the associate director of Theo Adams, who is the creative director this year. And we've been working together for, I think, 17 years now. And we worked together with Ollie Alexander when he was still Years and Years on his Night Call Arena tour in the UK a couple of years back, with the same little team, Masumi Saito, OG choreographer, and Mishak Henry, the choreographer. Brilliant people, and it's been so much fun. My role is sort of like human glue. I'm not quite sure how to put it, really. I feel very valued in the room, let's put it that way, and I definitely use lots of my skills as a composer in the room. Lots of holding information and letting it percolate and then letting it filter out in new and different ways. I feel like I help things get communicated. I use lots of my skills as a teacher, observing where there may be potential mistakes or pitfalls before they've happened, like I do when I watch my pupils do their scales and I can see they're about to do the wrong finger. And sometimes it is savvy to let them make the mistake and learn from the mistake, and sometimes it's better to preemptive and think, I've got to nip this in the bud quickly. It's that kind of brain that I use when I'm working with Theo and the team, but mostly it's just a lot of fun. Theo is absolutely incredible visionary, and his vision for Ollie's performance this year was just literally out of this world. If you saw the performance on the BBC or wherever you might watch it in the world, it was just incredible. His vision was a post-apocalyptic boxing gym in space in 1985, where Ollie Alexander was an alien who landed on the set, and then they went hurtling through space to land on the stage at the Eurovision Song Contest in Malmo, where suddenly the set disappears as though it was never there. It's really clever how Theo's mind worked and how the people at home will possibly have no idea how they filmed it, but in the arena it was totally incredible. The fans really, really enjoyed it, and it was, in my opinion, some of the best staging I've ever seen of anything at Eurovision, if not anything anywhere ever. That's how much I liked it. The fans are completely unique, and there's such vicarious energy, even if mine was somewhat depleted after slogging away alone in my studio and teaching many hours a week for the past few months without a day off. The trip to Copenhagen and Malmo was a very welcome relief to that routine, and the vibe in Sweden in spring totally extraordinary. And in my small way, I'm so lucky and grateful to have been part of it, having worked with Ollie previously in much the same capacity. He really is such a sweetheart, and he goes out of his way to say hi to all the team, everybody in the room, gives them a hug. I think he's Cancerian, like me. I understand so much about him just knowing that about him, interestingly. I feel like I know where his emotions derive from. But talking of emotions, mixed emotions, it's very sad that I haven't had as much time to celebrate with my friends. No days off, busyness is reigning, and all of these achievements are sort of at the expense of having a life, prioritising my work. I also, though, feel like I've been prioritising time with my partner, whatever little time that we can get, downtime together, and my health, because, if I don't have that, I really would be totally burned out. I feel making sure I'm healthy is what's keeping me going. I feel like I'm riding on the cusp of burnout, shall we say, making sure I get lots of sleep, exercise every day, eating really well, and so on. Although it's currently 11:30, I should probably be heading to bed anytime soon, but this has got to happen, I really enjoy doing this, and I came into the room very buoyant, full of energy and focus to be able to record this evening. Other good news, I've been working on this piece for London Symphony Orchestra, which I just wish I had more time to enjoy. It's quite bittersweet. It's really reviving my feelings of being a composer and exploring my feelings of being, of imposter syndrome that I've mentioned in previous episodes. And I'm using it as an opportunity to practice deep work, which I mentioned I've been listening to the audiobook of Cal Newport's Deep Work book in fits and starts, and it's all really resonating with me, reminding me that I've always been able to do that for as long as I can remember being at all academic. But this does not feel academic. It feels like a completely creative pursuit, and I feel totally excited to lock myself away in the room for an hour if I get a moment to work on this piece. And it's really having a great impact on my focus, my sense of satisfaction, and my general sense of identity. It's an amazing opportunity. Writing for the London Symphony Orchestra is something I've always wanted to do, and I've applied to their Panufnik Young Composers Scheme many times in the past and was never picked to be one of the composers for that scheme. But, Colin Matthews is very generous in other regards, the person who sort of oversees that scheme and the selection process. It's not like he didn't think I was good enough. God, this is really going quite deep into my psyche over the past 20 years. Unpicking where, oh my gosh, I forgot that I was harbouring these sensations and these feelings. The point being is the LSO Panufnik scheme is an amazing opportunity to write a piece for the LSO. And I have had plenty of other opportunities to write for orchestra in my time, for the BBC Philharmonic and the Halle Youth Orchestra, members of the LPO and Philharmonia, and written a special commission for the Britten Peers Orchestra under Oliver Nussin. I've really had a good go, and the LSO was that one orchestra that I'd never got to write for before, and they were the orchestra of my childhood. E.T., Superman, Jurassic Park, all of those incredible films, Harry Potter, if you're into that. They are just incredible musicians, as good as any session player out there, tight, but also because they work together all the time, they have this amazing unified sound. And when Simon Rattle was at the helm, wow, they could not be stopped. And they still can't be stopped. And I'm doing this project with their education department. There's a scheme called the Next Gen scheme, which is a young sort of scratch orchestra of young, very talented players who are all creating musical ideas with workshop leader and composer Fraser Trainer. And then I'm, along with Fraser, moulding these ideas into a piece that they are basically performing from memory. And then I'm writing how to put it? Accompaniment seems like the wrong word. A cocoon, shall we say. A piece in which their ideas will sit, and then some extra material around the edges. So it's sort of a half composing, half creative arranging job. That's the word, creative arrangement. Either way, it's just so exciting to think that any dot that I put on the page will be played by a London Symphony Orchestra player. It really is the dream of any composer, I think, to have any of their music played by such incredible players. I'm so proud of it, and it's such a reason to celebrate, although I haven't quite finished it yet. I've got maybe 10 days, practically speaking, that I can work on it before I have to hand in the score and the parts and so on. Gosh, actually, yes, I'd better get on with it. I think that's why I realised I'd better record this podcast this evening rather than wait till tomorrow morning, because tomorrow morning I've got to get to hustling with the orchestral music. As I mentioned, it is nice to use those skills that I have as a composer that I use in the room when I work with Ollie and Theo and co, except in this case I'm using them as a composer to write music. So that's very nice. And I've also been playing a lot more in the last month or so whilst on tour with Olivia Chaney. We're on a little hiatus during May until June, when we've got 2 more shows. We've got the London show and the Bristol show. We've already done 4 shows already, and each one has been better than the previous one. The last one was in Southampton, probably the best one yet, though I particularly enjoyed the one before that in Manchester, where my friends and family came to watch. And of course that was also mixed emotions, because I would just wish it wasn't such a flying visit. I was there in my home city for less than 24 hours, and then on the train straight back on 9 a.m. on Sunday morning to come back to London to teach for 7 hours. And I'm not sure why I do this to myself. I mean, I literally can schedule my own hours as a freelancer, but the precarious sensation of living as a freelance musician is not to be sniffed at, and so I take the work when I can get it. Talking of which, I've also been asked to write and develop some music for Modernt, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is an incredible string orchestra in Sweden, run by Hugo Ticciati, the violinist and conductor, and it's a collaboration with Shumik Data, and it feels like I've really rediscovered my role as a composer, and yet I'm also now able to bring my more contemporary skills as an arranger. I was going to say a proper composer, because it uses a sort of different brain to when I'm writing songs, but it's not really that different. It's always me. I think the breakthrough here is that it's always been the same brain. It's just that my perspective has shifted over the past 20 years since I was at music college, when I was an inverted commas proper composer writing music on paper and handing it over to someone else, with very little other interaction other than that. So this project is me reworking a piece of Shumik's into a piece that was actually for the BBC Singers, and now I'm reworking it, or recomposing it, to borrow that term from Max Richter, into a piece for the Modernt Swedish String Chamber Orchestra. And that's very exciting, because I've got a very tight turnaround schedule. I think I've got a week after my London Symphony Orchestra deadline is over that I can work on this piece, so it will happen then. I haven't got too much time to be precious about it. I've just got to throw everything at it and enjoy it, and that will take me to early June. But that's definitely a little cause for celebration too, because of course I've been putting all of my hopes and expectations on myself, and all this pressure on this LSO piece being the most amazing thing it could be, because I haven't had a chance to do it for so many years, to write for such incredible players. That was throwing all of my ideas at it, and it almost needed to be everything I've ever hoped for the past 20 years. But now that there's another commission on the other side of that, however small, I feel I can breathe a little bit and maybe spread my ideas out, and or focus my ideas, should I say, one at a time. One perspective for the LSO, that's very much a different beast to working for string orchestra, having all of these colours at your disposal. And the piece by Shumik that I'm reworking, Awaz, is an amazingly colourful and celebratory piece of music. So it's such a gift to have that kind of energy to work from, a base material, so to speak, that I'm then going to be reorchestrating some parts of it and then using it as a basis for new composition in other areas. And I was sent through the programme, the rest of the concert. There's going to be some Schubert and Max Richter. It's going to be a very interesting, varied event, and even with some Beatles rearrangements in there as well. It's all about exploring memory. So yeah, that's definitely something to celebrate. Again, I wish maybe I had a bit more time to indulge in it and live my composer fantasy, and maybe just, take a 3-month sabbatical somewhere to go and really enjoy writing this piece. But no, I've got about 6 days to write it. And it'll be fine. I've got some time to think about it and let it percolate in my head before I sit down, lock myself in a room and get it all on the page. Mixed emotions, though. I do find myself during the day feeling tired, and then also having these amazing moments of energy. And I wonder where it's coming from. There's something about this busyness that is forcing me to focus, extremely focus, on what's important. And there's just no time to spend on things that are of no value to me, I guess. Gosh, that makes it sound as though my friends are not valuable to me because I haven't seen them in so long. They're extremely valuable, and I feel a little guilty about that. But I think what I mean is it's really honed in that my health is extremely valuable, and I see my partner every day, if possible, spend some time together and get some downtime. I feel like I've weirdly found a bit of a better balance. The only difference being that I need to be able to maybe spread the work out just a little more, so I've got more breathing room. But I do feel happy, I think, because I'm doing stuff that's in line with my value system, whatever that is. All the work I did years ago in therapy about what my values are, or what I value most in my life, I feel like it's finally clicking, which is really nice. On that subject of what I really value and what would be of value to me, what would be really luxurious right now is more time. It's funny, I mentioned this idea of a 3-month sabbatical to go away and write a piece, which I just cannot see happening. I have such a rich and varied life, and although it's a little bit too busy for comfort at the moment, I do feel like I'm probably happier than I've been in a long time, just because I'm doing something I enjoy every day. I'm not sure if I would get that same sense of balance and happiness if I were alone for 3 months writing a piece. Maybe it would be too monothematic. Maybe if it was 3 months away with friends visiting at the weekends or something, that might be quite nice. But time really is the ultimate luxury, isn't it? Let's all be serious. So, time to celebrate. It is time to celebrate for me. And I just wish I had some time to celebrate. It's that funny yin-yang symbol of balance and imbalance, where the point at which I most need the time to celebrate myself is the time when I have the least time. At least I had already booked my trip to Eurovision this past weekend, so I was going no matter what. It just meant that I had a very busy and squished week beforehand, trying to get as much done as I could before I went away. And perhaps now I'm a little bit more pressed after the event, trying to finish this piece for London Symphony Orchestra, as I mentioned, but it's all good. I'm so lucky and so grateful. And I'm so grateful if you're here listening. I know that I haven't actually mentioned my own music proper, as it were, like my songs and the music that I've recorded that will eventually be released. Somehow, right this second, I'm satisfied that it will be released in its own good time, so I'm not going to dwell on that and worry about it too much. But it's nice to hear from those of you from the past episodes who are keen to hear it soon. That's very encouraging, and it gives me the energy and focus I need to make that my next priority. Deep down, we should all find as much time as possible to celebrate ourselves, every little small win. I feel like I'm in a really good habit of doing that with my partner. Whenever any tiny little good thing happens, we always tell each other and say, "Yay, that's great." And I can't wait to do that more with my friends soon. I just got to get it in the diary. Summer will be upon us, and then it's my birthday, and then it's basically August, which is the end of the year for me. That's a lie. But the world does seem to stop in August, weirdly, the fashion world and the art world and the banking world. So why don't I have August off? Is that a threat? Who knows? I'll figure it out. Don't musicians work all over the summer at festivals? Oh, the life of a musician. It is the life for me. Thanks for joining me deep down, and I hope you find some time to celebrate your own wins this week, today, even, right now. Go do it. Have a nice day or evening or whatever time of day or season this is when you're listening to this, and take care. Speak to you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and review this podcast. And if you like it, share it with your friends or on social media. You can find me on all social platforms by searching at Jordan Hunt Music, and you can listen to my music on all good streaming services. Deep Down uses bits of my music nabbed from my songs Ocean Floor and Peter. Check out the show notes on jordan-hunt.com for exclusive tidbits from this podcast. I'd really love to hear from you via DM or email via my website if any of these experiences resonated with you, and if you have questions, suggestions, or requests for future episodes. Thank you so much for listening.